Hello friends. Okay, today we're doing a textured pony tutorial, all right? So I have done my prep, I've done my sectioning. Those are some of the foundations of every updo. So you can see I've got 3 sections. I've got the top out, I've got the sides from the ears forward, and I've created a base for my little textured pony. Someone had mentioned they wanted to know how I would do it. There's lots of different ways you can do a textured pony, but this is just one example. So I've pre-curled this ponytail, and I've got a little texturizing spray in there. If the hair needs a lot more grip to it, then I would recommend some powder. But I'm gonna go through and do a little bit of back combing at the root. And this will not only give my ponytail a little bit of volume, but it will also help to create that texture, because as I'm breaking up the sections and doing the back combing, that helps to kind of break up these curls down here and make them more full and voluminous, and just give us a little bit more of that nice texture that we're looking for. So I'm going through and I'm back combing, and I'm not worrying too much about it being super smooth, because once I'm done with the back combing, I can come over with my comb and kind of smooth it out. Okay, so you're gonna use a little texture spray. So this will help to keep the frizz in, and this will also help to kind of break up your curls to give you a more textured look. Now, if it looks like it's getting a little bit thin at the bottom like this is, then I like to actually kind of comb it together so it's not too broken up. I don't want it to look scraggly at the bottom, right? You want it to be full. All right, so we've got the basic bottom pony. So this is kind of our base here. And then I'm gonna pull in the sides. So before I do that, want to make sure that they're curled. I've already kind of pre-curled the side to get a little bit of texture in. And I would say if you are wanting to have a lot of uniformity in your textured ponytail, then make sure all the curls are curled in the same direction. And if you just want to have full and textured and it doesn't really matter how they go, then just curl them up and then you can pull it in. Okay, so I'm going to use my smoothing brush to bring this over on both sides, and I want it tight above the ears because that is the look I'm going for with this one. And I'm gonna put this part into a ponytail now. So by sectioning out the 2 pieces here and the bottom here, you just have a lot more control over how your ponytail looks, and you're also gonna start building in this volume by creating multiple ponytails back here. So instead of all the hair gathered into one, you're starting to build. You can see I've got 1, 2, and that starts to just create some of that volume that we're looking for. So we're gonna do texture spray underneath. I'm gonna smoothen the sides. I'll tell you what, I walked my little hairspray bottle over to the other side of the room before I started. So I would normally put some hairspray on the sides right here, but I don't wanna leave you. So I'm going through and doing a little back combing here too. Now, if the hair is really thin, use a fine brush like this. If you're finding that the hair is thicker, I like to use a wider tooth comb. So it kind of depends on the thickness of the hair, what comb you're gonna use. But thicker hair, sometimes back comb's better if you use a wider tooth comb. So this is a thin little section, so I'm gonna use my fine tooth comb. And this just really helps to spread it out and to create that fullness that we're looking for. So I'm holding it straight up and pulling the hair down. And again, this is gonna be covered, so we don't need to worry too much about any frizz right here because I'm gonna be pulling down the top. So I'm going through again with texture spray. And I really like to use texture spray, especially on ponytails and things that have movement, because it does provide some hold without being stiff. So you're not seeing the ponytail move in like one big piece together, right? Okay, so now that I've got the top sectioned out, I can bring this over, and we've got a couple options. So first, let me just make a note about the front. The reason that I have this sectioned out before I pull it in is because often we're doing ponytails and we're pulling in the back. We're pulling the front pieces back too, and that's going to be losing the control we have over the front and how much volume and like lift we want to have, or if we want it to be really smooth and sleek. If you have that smooth and sleek and then you start pulling on the ponytail, you're going to start messing that up a little bit. So that's why I like to leave this for last. And sometimes I don't even use an elastic. I just pin this with bobby pins instead. So today she's got a lot of hair up here, so I am gonna actually use an elastic, but my point is that if you use just a thin section over the top here, you can secure this with bobby pins and just secure it into the ponytail, and then you have a lot of control, especially if it's someone that wants a lot of lift right in the front. So you can give it a big boost and just use the bobby pins rather than pulling it down with an elastic. So like I said, because I've left a pretty thick section from back here at the crown all the way to the front, I'm gonna use a elastic. But first I'm gonna go over the top with texturizer, and I'm just gonna kind of comb through to give that textured-y look on top. So I just have to tell somebody, because I thought this was so funny. This morning we got locked out of our upstairs bathroom, and my 6-year-old was up there with me, and I was like, oh shoot, I don't know how to fix this. And he's like, oh Mom, Papa always just uses one of your hair twigs. And I was like, oh, my hair twigs? And he meant bobby pin. But I thought that was fantastic that he called it a hair twig. I was like, you know what? You're not wrong. They're kind of like hair twigs. So anyway, I thought that was cute. All right, so I am gonna put this into the ponytail. I'm just wrapping this around a couple times. And then I can go through and loosen it as needed. Make sure that everything lines up in the back, that it's right where I want it to be. And again, once I'm done with this, I would use a little hairspray to blast that. Now you can see this is a little bit limp. So I want to do one of two things. I can either flip it out like a topsy tail to make a lot of lift right here, or I can just do some back combing. I'm gonna do the topsy tail method. Now what you risk in the topsy tail method is messing up the front, the very, very top. So just be careful with this. So I'm putting my finger in the middle to create an opening so I can flip this hair over. So you see how there's a hole right here? Grab my hair with these 2 fingers. And there is a tool for this. So I call it a topsy tail because that's what it was called in the 90s when I owned it. Nowadays it might be called something different. Okay, so you can already see I got a little lift here. Now what you want to do is tighten it, but you want to make sure to go through and correct this top area before you do any securing. Now I'll tell you what, on a mannequin, this is so much easier because their hair is just way more forgiving. On someone who has like really fine hair, doing a topsy tail style at the very top is gonna really mess up this front. So I would recommend doing the back combing method and not doing the topsy tail method. Okay, so I'm kind of pinching this here to see how it's gonna lay before I do any pinning. And if I like how this is looking, this profile, which I do, then I'm gonna pin this in. So I'm gonna go through and put the pin into the binder in here against the head. Now, something that I did not do, I'm just realizing, is her hair is already kind of pre-curled, but you're gonna wanna curl this section before you put it into the ponytail. So curl it out, take it out of the, when you take it out of the sectioning, curl it first and then pin it up. Otherwise, if you're curling when it's already in the ponytail, you're pulling on the ponytail and you run the risk of messing this up. So again, I'm going straight down into this and I'm grasping the elastic that's in there, and that's what's securing it. Now I'm gonna even back comb a little bit more because I want a little bit more lift. So I'm taking these small sections and just back combing slightly at the root. You can see, whoop, whoop. Now partly again, this is mannequin hair. So mannequin hair back combs really well. It holds product really well. It really does what you want. If you're working with someone with really fine hair, you need to be really careful about your back combing so it doesn't show. If you're working with someone with really thick hair, you're probably gonna need a back comb and use texture powder to really lock in that back combing so it doesn't fall, especially on a ponytail like this where you want a lot of lift. Now, if you need to go through and touch up some of the curls here, this is a good time to do it. And you have a couple options. So go through and touch up the curls if you need to. You just wanna make sure that you're touching it very gently so you're not getting any frizz in here. You can curl little pieces at a time. So kind of like, I like to just pinch at the top so it's not pulling. Let that go. And you can use your a metal comb to kind of break this up and then spread it out in the way that you want. And finish with a little bit of texturizer. So you can go through and do that throughout. But you can see how with her hair, the ponytails under here are hidden. So I've got this kind of cute textured pony and you don't see the ponytails, right? So each side it's kind of covered. Now this is great for like a photo shoot or something. She's got thick hair, but if this is a bride or a bridesmaid and they have to be in a lot of photos and they're gonna be going around all day, you wanna make sure that the hair isn't falling away and showing these ponytails. So I would go through with some pins and secure some of these outside pieces here to her head so that the hair doesn't move away and the ponytail doesn't show. So you're just gonna go through and bring in some of the pieces just like that so they don't, see how if I move it, it doesn't fly away. So you just wanna go in and grasp some of this ponytail and push it into her actual head, the scalp. So you can see how now when I move it, the hair isn't moving back and forth, but you still have a lot of that voluminosity in there. So that's what I would recommend, because otherwise, see on this side, if I don't have any pins, you might accidentally see that. So that's why you wanna go through and pin that into the head. The other thing you can do, maybe this is a tutorial for another day, but another thing that you can do is make sure that these 3 ponytails are closer together, and then you can take one piece from the bottom and wrap it around the top, and that will give you that volume too. But I like this method because it gives you a lot of lift right up here to create this nice textured ponytail that has a little bit more volume to it. It's really full. It pairs well with extensions, so if you need to get more length in here, you could put an extension in that middle ponytail, and then that will give you that length that you're looking for. So to finish this off, I would just do hairspray over the top, a little bit of shine spray, and then you have your beautiful textured ponytail. Okay, so if you guys like this and you need more, especially hand holding in the beginning of your updo stages, I've got a lot of free resources at updocollective.com. I've got a whole bunch of free videos on this YouTube channel, so if you like these, subscribe, and you'll get a notification every weekend when I post new ones. And you can come join us over in the Updo Collective on Facebook, which is a great community. Again, thank you for joining me, and I will see you next week.